guys, it's Gwen.
And it's Bree.
And this is exactly where you want to be. Alright, so today we're doing story time. Talk about a time you lied to your parents.
You want to go first?
No, you go first.
Oh my god. It was back when I was in middle school. I had got a really bad grade. So I told mom that I didn't get a report card. And that we weren't getting a report card. And I had ripped it up. And my homework was in the pile that I ripped. So I was looking for my homework. And my brother was like, did you throw it away? And I said, I don't know. So my mom had took all the garbage up. All the papers I threw in the garbage. She's like, well, this is why you couldn't find it, because you threw it away with your report card. And yeah, I got in so much trouble that day.
A time someone was rude to you. So I used to work at Speedway. I worked at Speedway for like about a month. Basically, I left because I couldn't handle the customers. One particular, I worked the third shift. I was still learning. This woman would always come in like every night. Always getting like $20 worth of gas. Okay, cool. When you come in and pay, you gotta tell them what pump. Well, she wouldn't tell me what pump. And she was like, it's just that car out there. I look, and it's just reflection. I cannot see outside. So it's like, okay. Like, walk close to the window, try and focus, figure it out, whatever, put it on there. She goes out, comes back in, she's like, it's not working. Found out, went to the wrong pump, switch it. But then she went up to my manager and basically called me mentally retarded. And yeah, that just brained up my day.
I have to say, like, working at Jimmy John's, you get a lot of rude customer calls, especially when they're like trying to make deliveries, and they'll like tell you the business name, they won't tell you the address. And like, I have to constantly repeat myself, like, I'm sorry, but I'll need the exact address in order to let you know.
Don't you know?
Yeah, you get that a lot.
Don't you have a book with all these addresses? No, we don't.
And so this one lady, she got like really rude with me. She started calling me out my name. So I was like, you know what, can you please hold? And yeah, I said somebody else had to handle her.
A time you had a confrontation with someone.
Again, has to do with Jimmy John's. We used to work at the same store, and she was training me when this girl, Stacy, came and she applied. And at first she was cool, and I thought she was a nice person. Well, little did we know, she was a little backstabbing. So Mario came up to us and was basically telling us like, well, she's always saying how you guys aren't doing anything and you guys are always in the back eating Taco Bell. Like, we opened the store so we don't have time to eat breakfast. We don't have time to eat breakfast. And then
we work while we eat.
Yeah.
Like, you take a couple bites, you do something, come back, take a couple more bites, do something. Like if my boss told me no, I wouldn't do it. He's seen me do it several times, so.
And then there was a time we had dollar sub day, and we had this big ass truck order, and so me and her were the only ones in the back putting it away. And she was still saying how we weren't doing anything and this and that, and it was just constantly like talking about it. She would like turn around and try to be our friend after we heard all this stuff, but it's like we were managers, and so we had to kind of be civil. So even though I wanted to punch her in her face several fucking times.
And every time, like, in a way we would confront her, but it was more so me just kind of having these talks with her, like, hey, you gotta be professional, you shouldn't be gossiping, that's not something that I want in the store. And she'd always, what? I never said that. Or she'd start crying and talking about how her life is just the best gift ever. I was in 8th grade, so I was like 13. Jonas Brothers were coming to the rave. Kept asking my mom. And like even people at school were just like, hey Gwen, you going to that concert? I was like, no. And then it was the day before and I was like, Mom, they're still on sale. Like, please. I walked my friend Jessica home, come back, and my mom's like, Gwen, I need the phone, can you give me the phone? It was on my computer desk, so I grab her the phone and give it to her. And she's like, Gwen, your computer desk is a mess. Clean it. And it's like, okay, whatever. Go to clean it. I see the tickets just sitting on the desk for the Jonas Brothers concert, so that was pretty exciting.
I think I was 7th grade, 8th grade when the iPod Touches came out. And I would always beg my parents, like, please, can I get it? Please, 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 please. And they would always tell me no because my grades were bad. And so I was like, I promise I'll work towards it. I promise I just kept begging her. And it was like a week after report cards came out, and I had like 2 maybe lower average. But I had came home from school, and she was like, oh, let's go to Target, and whatever. And so we were walking around Target.
Brianna's like, hint, hint. Mom, hint, hint.
No. We were walking around Target, and then she was like walking over by the electronics. And so she lied to me and said she was buying it for my cousin for her birthday. And then we got in the car, and she's like, here you go. And I was like, wow, you could have just told me it was mine.
A time you tricked a sibling.
I don't really remember how old I was, but I was obviously like really young because my brother is 8 years older, roughly 8 years. And so I had went to the park with him, and he was playing basketball, and there's a park by my house. So like the play set is a far distance from the basketball court, but he was watching me, and then he stopped watching me. So I got bored, so I walked home. And so when I went home, my mom was like, where's your brother? I was like, oh, he's still at the park. So my mom called him and was like, where's your sister? She's on the playset. Really? Because I can't see her. And from my house, like, you could see the whole park. Like, so you could see the playset, you'd be able to tell if somebody was on the playset or if they weren't. So then he like turned around and was like, oh, and my sister was there too, so they both weren't watching me. so when
Brianna could have been kidnapped.
So then she was like, get your ass home, or like something like that. And she told me to go in the house and lay on the couch, because you know how we had the picture window? The couch used to be in front of there. So I was laying on the couch. And so he came home, and that she was basically like, you guys weren't watching her, like, where is she at? And then I think like eventually she was just like, you're lucky she's on the couch right now.
As stated, huge Jonas Brothers fan. I recently was going back in my tweets, and I kind of remembered this. So way back in the day, I can't remember how old I was. My littlest sister, she was probably like 5 at the time, had this huge crush on Joe Jonas. Huge. And so I would get like his text notifications, not his text notifications, his tweet notifications texted to my phone. And it would say like Joe Jonas, and then it would have his tweet. And Julia, my little sister, who was in love with Joe Jonas, saw that. Starts freaking out. Oh my god, you're texting Joe Jonas? Oh my god, tell him I love him. And I created some, like, I wouldn't mess around with her, like, oh, he was on 3-way, but he has to go to his concert now. What? That's rude. Like, she would get so into it. They had their Say Now account, and she would call and leave messages, and I'd be like, Julia, you gotta speak really loud. Hi, Joe! Let me sing you a song! It was fun messing with her a little bit. Alright, a time your BF cheated. Boyfriend cheated.
What do I want to use?
Alright, so I was dating this guy, Antonio, for like probably 2 years at the time. I'd kind of noticed some things were kind of changing. Like, he used to be super open, then suddenly, like, every time he got a text, he was hiding his phone. Every time he was texting back, he was just kind of like trying to hide it, basically. Every time he was hanging out with friends, he always said, oh, I'm hanging out with my friend. That's always like, kind of like, wait, what you doing? So basically, one day, he was at work, I was at home, and he would let me use his computer to watch Pretty Little Liars. So I was trying to catch up on that. After an episode ended, I went to go on Facebook. he was still logged into his Facebook. So I was like, you know what? I have a feeling something's going on. I'm gonna be a little snoopy right now. Normally, I'm not like that. But when I get a gut feeling, I gotta follow it. Luckily, I did. Because let me tell you, he was talking to his first girlfriend. He was talking to some girl. When she added him, he was like, oh, just so you know, this girl used to like me. We had a falling out, blocked each other, but she's adding me again. So I just wanted to let you know. Okay, cool. Apparently they were flirting the whole time. She even sent him a message like, oh, we shouldn't be doing this because you got a girlfriend, I got a boyfriend. We really shouldn't be flirting with each other. And all he said was, okay. And it's like, okay, so you acknowledge the fact that you're flirting with her. Okay. And he also texted his best friend, who was a female, which I have no problem with. Texted her saying that he'd rather be with her than be with me. That all kind of came at once. I was pissed. I waited like a couple of days, kind of kept it to myself, and just kind of tried to figure out what to really do. One day, I was closing at the store that she's at now. Buffalo Wild Wings is right next to it, so I was like, hey, after work, why don't we have dinner at Buffalo Wild Wings? And he was like, no, I'm gonna go hang out with a friend. Okay, fine. And then a little while after, a couple hours, he was like, hey, you still gonna go? Cause these plans fell through, so I'm gonna come. It's like, okay. Come to find out that it was that girl that he was flirting with that he was gonna go hang out with. Mind you, she lives like an hour away. So I was like, why are you gonna drive all that way to go see her? Like, what were you guys planning on doing? Well, she was gonna show me around her college. So I was like, but why? Like, why are you gonna drive an hour to look at a college that you're not even interested in going to? Well, she just wanted to show me her college. Doubt that. And he was like, oh, and we were gonna like hang out in her dorm room and watch Netflix. The savage in me, I was like, oh, Netflix and chill? Like, it's what it sounds like. After that conversation, I kind of came clean and told him that I found everything I found. And like that day, he kind of just blocked her and apologized, but then afterwards just would repeatedly deny that he ever did anything.
Okay, so I started dating this guy named Jason. Like, okay, we started talking before Christmas, but we ended up getting together New Year's Eve. Okay, so everything was fine at first. Like, I thought he was a very nice guy. Like, everything I pretty much wanted because I've been through some horrible ass relationships. Just to find out he's like another one of them. Pretty much everything was going good, and then I started having like little doubts. And the fucked up part about it was this was around what, Valentine's Day? So we had like went.
There was so many instances with him. I don't even remember which one she's talking about.
Okay, basically we went all out. She went all out for her boyfriend, and I was going all out for him. And like I had bought him
all out
and shit. Like we were making jars and
yep.
Like,
I don't know if you guys seen like those little jars where you put like a memory and a thing you like about them. And God, we spent so long on those.
So long. And so I was having my doubts a little bit because our conversations, like she was saying with hers, like they were just like basically coming dry and just whatnot. But there was this one specific time he had came over to watch movies with me and my parents, and I was sitting next to him, and every time his phone would go off, he would like kind of like be on the side of him, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna say nothing because my parents are right here, but
that's always a dead giveaway.
Whatever. So when he went home, I had like texted him basically and was like what's going on, like, cause you were acting fishy as hell, like. And he just kept saying nothing's going on. It was my mom. It was this person. And like, whatever. So then I had slept over at her house. Like, I just kept telling her, like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I just don't know. Like, we went to work the next day. She was opening, and I went with her. And so she basically was like, maybe I should just change my name on Snapchat because she knew her name because I told him about her because she's my best friend. So
essentially, I catfished him
yeah.
on Snapchat just to see if he would flirt with me.
And he did. He did. And he did.
Basically
like,
invited me to his place to stay the night.
And then when I confronted him about it, he just basically was like,
oh, well, we're not together.
yeah. Technically, we were together, but we had like,
the only thing that was holding them back was meeting the parents.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to meet the parents before making it official. That time you broke up with a good friend.
I mean, me and her have had a couple fallouts.
Couple.
Yeah. But I mean, it always brought us back together.
It's always sad, but sometimes it's for the best. Obviously, things worked out.
Right. Otherwise, we wouldn't be sitting here today.
An embarrassing moment.
I'd say when I was younger, I was riding my bike at the park, and I thought I was cool, and I went to the baseball field. The baseball field was really muddy, and I fell off my bike into the mud while everybody was there playing football. All my brother's friends.
Yeah, so I fell off a four-wheeler once. Went up north with my friend Jessica and her family, and we loved riding the four-wheeler around. One day, her mom kind of wanted to take us on a trail. It's only supposed to fit, I think it was only a one-person four-wheeler, but me and my friend would always ride on it together, so... But this time we had 4 people. We had Jessica's mom, Jessica's little brother, he was like 5, so he was like small. And we had me and Jessica, and Jessica's mom and her little brother were sitting on the actual seat, whereas me and Jessica kind of made a seat in back. And I think that's kind of what went wrong, because I don't know what it was. Maybe it was like a sharp turn. I just remember we were turning. I kind of just fell off. And then Jessica's mom bought us ice cream to make up for it.
Yeah, ice cream makes everybody feel better.
Cheers a lot. How you got your pet?
Well, from what my mom told me, she was going through a really rough time and she really wanted another dog. We got him like 4, 5, 6, I don't know how many years ago. But yeah, that's how we got him. My mom basically was going through a rough time and she wanted another dog. But she wanted a small dog because at the time we had a Rottweiler. We got a pug shih tzu. His name is Gizmo because he looks like a gremlin. Basically,
my first dog was Oliver. Had him like 3 years ago at Puppy World. At the time, me and my boyfriend, we wanted a dog really bad. We were driving home and we heard a commercial on the radio about financing a dog. I've been looking at starting up my credit. So we were like, you know what, let's go there, figure out what it's all about, whatever, get there. And of course, gotta look at the puppies, gotta pet them. We're asking about it. Basically, I get approved. So I was like, okay, we weren't gonna get a dog, but you know what? Playing with dogs, might as well get one. And I actually saw Oliver like in his little cage. He was sleeping at the time. But then he woke up and I was like, yes, I want to see him. Like, bring me him. I fell in love. Nisha, she was 2 years ago. It was after a breakup, wanted another dog. So I found her on a Facebook group where people sell animals, I guess. But, and then both my cats were from Matic, which is an adoption place here in Milwaukee. Okay, so now I guess it's the time to tell you a time I lost my sisters. Basically, my parents would go off, have me watch my little sisters. I was doing my own little thing. They would usually always do their thing. And then my parents got home, and they're like, where's Emily? I don't know. We're looking all over for her. I went upstairs to my grandma. I was like, hey, is Emily here? And she said no, and I just started crying. So I was like, oh no, I lost Emily. Come to find out, when we were playing hide and seek one time, I I got the clever idea of hiding behind the love seat because our love seat was in an angle in a corner, so I would just kind of hide behind there when playing hide and seek, and they would never find me. Well, I mean, after they found out that that was my spot, they kind of knew to look there. But basically, Emily just decided to go behind the love seat. That's basically where we kept all our blankets, and she just fell asleep. So she was sleeping behind the love seat. A time you tried out for something.
When I was in middle school, I really wanted to be a cheerleader, and I thought it was so cool. It wasn't as cool as I thought it was. I quit after like the first week. I just stopped going to practices.
I guess it wasn't really trying out, but I mean, we had to go through auditions. But I guess the only thing I've really done was talent show in middle school, and ended up doing the talent show, which was embarrassing. Something that happened while camping.
So I have this neighbor, me and her were like really good friends. So one year she invited me to go camping with her parents, and her little brother. We went to Yogi Bear's. So that was my first time camping ever. And me and my friend, we were like, we're tired, so we're gonna go to sleep. Her brother was already asleep because at that time he was like 3, 4 years old. So I was asleep. 3, 4-year-olds are gonna go to sleep earlier than everybody else. But basically, her dad thought it was a good idea to scare the living shit out of us while we're sleeping. Now, that reminds you, the camper, like, it comes up and the beds are, like, in the air, like, on the sides. Basically, he's standing by, like, our heads, and he was breathing really hard. He was like somebody was trying to get into the camper or something, around or whatever. I could not sleep any other time after that. So I didn't sleep the whole trip.
So basically my camping experience was at the same campground, Jellystone. I was about 5. It was me and my family and my mom's friends, and then they let me bring one of my friends along. Her name was Haley. I think we slept in the same tent. I don't remember. I just remember one night we were eating ice cream, and basically overnight she got sick, threw up. Some of that puke got onto my Esmeralda doll from Hunchback of Notre Dame. My mom tries to wash the Esmeralda doll, and it comes out with an afro. That was something to remember. Vacation mishap. This was when me and my boyfriend first got together. We went to Chicago because somebody ditched out on me.
I chose to work over when it's Chicago.
She chose to work for her bae.
Not my bae. Don't listen to her. I'm single.
Well, yeah, she's single, but just because you're single doesn't mean you don't got
Don't
pay.
listen to her, guys.
Okay, anyways, she chose to work for somebody, okay? And so instead I brought her brother. I was kind of already thinking about bringing him. Oh, but instead I brought my little sister. That was what it was. So we were going to Chicago to meet Ian Harding during his book tour, book signing. We put in the address, we get there, looking for a bookshop, and it's nowhere to be found. I look again, here it brought us to Chicago, but really it was supposed to be one of the suburbs of Chicago. So it was another like 40 minutes away. And yeah, I cried. I called my mom. Even my mom tried fixing it for me. She tried calling the bookshop. They were just like, oh, well, if you get here before this time, we'll still let you come in and whatnot. So I was like, okay, I guess we'll try. We drive all the way to that bookshop, get to that bookshop, and we're like looking around. It does not look like an event's going on, but it's still that time frame that it's supposed to be going on. So we go to work, and she's like, oh, that's actually at this place, like a couple blocks away. Really? We had to pass that place to get to you. But yeah, it was pretty upsetting. I cried a lot. After that, it was fun. A day that everything went wrong.
Working at Jimmy John's. But tell you, I don't even know how to explain it. It's just like, if one thing happens in my work day, then it just seems like everything goes wrong. I had walked into work last weekend. Yeah. I had 3 sticks of bread. So then I started proofing bread, baking bread. I went to the bathroom while my bread was baking, think I had like 5 more minutes. And the girl I was working with turned the timer, and my entire round of bread was burnt. An entire round of bread is 24 sticks of bread. So that was completely burnt. I then had no bread at all. I tried calling the other store for bread. He ran out of bread, so it was like, alright, well, I guess today is not my day, you know?
And that concludes today's video.
Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to our channel, and stay tuned for more videos.
Also, check down below to see our social medias. Definitely give us a follow. We'd love to hear from you. And this is exactly where you want to be.
Oops, my bad. Edit that out. Anyways,
Let's go into the bloopers.
so
Oh. Now Oliver's getting jealous.